Okay, hey everybody. Looks like we're live. There's a little latency, so the signal will catch up. Oh, there we go. It takes a minute or two for YouTube to. There's my hand. I noticed that previously, and it takes a couple minutes, and then it seems to work itself out. It says my connection is excellent. So let's see. Nope, still a little bit of a latency. But anyway, it's getting better. Okay, I don't think we have any viewers yet. I hope we got some viewers. All right, anyway. My name is Quantum Synths, and I am going to be live streaming tonight. And I just hope the sound levels are okay. I mean, my meters look good. And if anybody is out there, if you could just type in a comment in the chat window, let me know if you could hear. And don't hate when YouTubers do that, but now I totally understand it. I also got to work on my microphone, because I know my microphone is recording, but I'm not hearing it in my headphones. So I can still hear it in the room. So I have to work on that. But that shouldn't be a problem. So again, my name is Quantum Synths. I'm going to be live streaming. In the last year that I've been doing YouTube videos, I have put out about 150 videos of all different kinds of musical content. My journey started, actually I've been a musician my whole life. Played classical music growing up. And then left that halfway through college. And interestingly enough, became a software engineer. And then I lived in New York at the time, so I wrote a lot of software for corporations, Wall Street, And then in the 1990s, I started my own software company based on music software. I actually wrote the first time stretch algorithm. So, the algorithms in Logic Pro and Ableton that let you take a WAV file and slow it down or, time stretch. So what they do is they let you stretch out the time, and they don't change the pitch of the underlying music. Actually, that's how you've noticed YouTube, you could play half speed or quarter speed. That's all using time stretch algorithms. And I actually wrote the first computer-based time stretch algorithm. It wasn't commercially available until I wrote it. And then, unfortunately, I didn't patent it. I should have, but live and learn. But I did build a company around that. I had a product for 5 years called CD Looper. The tagline was slow it down without changing the pitch. And back then everything was based on CDs. So the software would take the music from the CD. You'd specify the beginning time and ending time. And it would then rip it. Used to call it ripping. It would rip the music from the CD and then slow it down. And it was actually, the quality was excellent. Okay, I have to turn on my other camera. Oh, there I am. Huh. Hey, everybody. Let me put that up a little bit. Nice to meet you all. Okay, so anyway, I did that for 5 years. Eventually sold that company, went back to working for big corporations, moved to California, and then basically semi-retired a couple years ago, and started doing music full-time. And I've been doing YouTube since probably February of 2024. And in that time, I've posted about 150 videos to date, which is quite a lot. I'm pretty amazed when I think of it. That journey started with a Eurorack setup, which I then realized it would cost a fortune to build the kind of sounds that I wanted. So I tore that down and I bought the East Beast, and this East Beast is amazing. So I bought two of them. I bought this Novation, actually I had this for a while, this Novation keyboard controller, which to me is the best keyboard controller on the market for a couple reasons, but one, I could change MIDI channels so easily, right? I don't use it to connect to Ableton. I have Ableton, but I use a DAW called Bespoke, which maybe I'll show you guys at some point. But yeah, I don't use Ableton, and I never really jived with the workflow of Ableton or of the connection, right, between the keyboard and Ableton. But this works really well for me. And I've purchased various modules. I've got a Korg Modwave in a box someplace that I traded. I've got the Behringer Spice, which I use a lot. I have the Night Sky, which is an amazing reverb, and right now I'm doing a series going through all the presets on the Night Sky, having the Behringer Spice go through the Night Sky. So you can watch those. I'm up to, I just posted last night preset 13. So I have 3 more to go to finish that series. And I've been playing live. I live in the South Bay area. I've been playing live in the Santa Cruz, San Jose area. Small gigs. I do have a 90-minute show coming up January 20th at Mellow Mellow in downtown Santa Cruz from 8 to 9:30. So if anybody's local, it'd be great if you could attend. And I've been playing there Monday nights. They have an open mic night. So I get a 10-minute set. And it's a lot, right? Because I take basically this entire rig, take it down, pack it up. I can break it down in about 12 minutes, get it in the car, unpack it, set it up in about 10 minutes. But it's a lot. So actually, now I'm thinking I might get that Behringer 140 x2 Go Eurorack. Because these I could take out of the case and put in the Eurorack, and it has a handle, and I think it would be a lot easier. And then I might, yeah. Then I want to get the Behringer the Behringer model of 15, right, which is like a grandmother, and that is Eurorack compatible. So I could put that in there. And then unfortunately, the Night Sky can't go in a Eurorack. So I would have to think about what I would do with that. But, you know, there are actually, between Dofer and Behringer, there are plenty of inexpensive Eurorack effects modules. So I'd probably go for one of those. So I'm thinking that's going to be my next step, because I definitely have to make this leaner and meaner. And then I run everything on a MacBook Pro, which is what's recording this now. And again, I use Bespoke, and I have way too many VSTs, but the two I use all the time are Omnisphere. So I have this piano patch. Which I took a bass piano from Omnisphere, and then I totally customized it to get the kind of sound I like. And then I use Pigments. So I have these 2 pads I've been using for almost a year now. Right. And that's being played by the MIDI Cake ARP, which is a pretty cool instrument. It's 4 channels. And so to me, it's like my third hand. So right now it's playing. And I could, it's on major, so that's a C major. And I don't sequence the chords because everything I do is way too ad lib. I don't want to be constrained to having to do chord changes every 4 bars or something like that. That's not what I want to do. But it's easily at my fingertips. And I did order the new Oxy 1 MK2 version 2. And so I'll get that in the first batch, probably end of May, beginning of June. Probably not in time to really settle in with it for my show, but that potentially will let me not lug the keyboard, although the keyboard's not really heavy, but I could remove the keyboard from my portable gig. I have to see how well the key, you can play the keys. I have to see. I know they're not velocity sensitive, but I have to see how well they play. See, no latency now. Perfect. It just takes YouTube a minute or two to catch up. And so that's what I'm thinking. So I could reduce my gig, my rig, to make it easier to gig. As Pink Floyd said, it's the great gig in the sky, right? So I hope I don't get a copyright hit for saying that. Well, it's a song title, and song titles are not copyrightable. Okay, little known factoid. All right, so so last Monday I played at Mellow Mellow in Santa Cruz, and I performed a new piece called, what's it called? It's called, oh my gosh, it's called, Sunrise at the Boardwalk, right? Sunrise at the Boardwalk. And I had composed it actually a few hours before. I had something totally else planned for last Monday night, and I wasn't really happy with it. It was too melancholy. I was in a harmonic minor key. And so a few hours before, I just sat down and I came up with this new piece, which is in a major key, C major. And that's what I wanted to go over with all of you tonight and show you some of the techniques I used. All right, so let's get to some music here. I hope the lights are okay. I really like colored lights, and I don't want the overhead light on, so I'm hoping that everybody can see well enough, and the detail. I did a test run, and the detail seemed to be fine. But we'll find out at the end when I look back at the recording. Okay, so I have 2 East Beasts. This is East Beast 1. This is East Beast 2. So East Beast 1, I programmed to play a sequence, right? You could have 13 stored sequences. A random, semi-random sequence. And the way I did it was, let's see. I could start from scratch. Okay, so that will show you how to do it. So let me turn the sequencer on. So now the sequencer is on. Okay, and I've saved it. Let me clear the buffer. Okay, so now we don't have a sequence. So you can enter in up to 32 notes. So this is a technique I use, and other people have talked about it, but it's a pretty interesting technique since there's no. There is actually a random sequencer generator in here, but it's not quantized. So even though it's interesting, I find it basically unusable. But you can come up with random notes. So the technique that I use is like, let's say I want a C. Okay, so now we have a C going. And then I'll just program the notes that I want in my sequence, and I'll program as many times as I want probability. So let's say I want the C to have a probability of 3 out of whatever, 3 out of 16. So I'll hit C 3 times. Okay, so now we have 3 C's in there. Okay, and I'll hit an E, just one E. And this is on random mode. You can see this dot here. But if I put it on random mode, okay. And so we have 3 C's and E, let me hit G 3 times. Okay, so I have 3 Gs. And now I want to hit a B. And I'll hit that 2 times. And actually, I'm going to hit C and G one more time each. And then I want to hit an A and a D just one time. So now, based on those amount of times I've hit the note, that's the probability that those notes will play. Okay? And now I could add rests, right? Because I'd like to not just have this, you know, bop, 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 bop. And so if I just add some rests, which is right here. Okay, so now I've added 4 rests. And I find I usually end up adding more rests than notes. So you can hear one just played there. So we'll leave it at 4. Okay. So now we have a random sequence, which is probabilistically picking the notes C, then G, then E, B, A, and D. And that's how we get the probability of our sequence. And then the East piece has another feature. If you see this light moving here, these are the oscillators. And I've put that into random mode. So usually I keep it, make sure I get this right. Right, which is a combination, which is really cool. You have a combo waveform of sawtooth and square wave, which is, when I'm just playing it, that's the one I always default to. So it's pretty cool. I like that one. And you could put it in random mode. And so now it's going to change its waveform. Now, unfortunately, in random mode, it does not select the couple of dual oscillators in its arsenal, which is kind of a shame. But anyway, so it'll just keep cycling. And you hear the volume drop off because when it picks the sawtooth and the, the triangle or the sine wave, the volume drops off because of how I have the filter set off. So you kind of get like these additional semi-rests in there. And that's my kind of generative sequence. And I have the LFO turned up. And if I turn up the filter and the modulation, we get these nice runs. And I could alter this during the performance. And if I lower, so I have the attack and decay all the way down. And if I lower the release, we get these nice percussive sounds. And I have the clock pretty slow. So in my DAW, I'm sending a clock, and I think I already have that down to half. And then here, I have divided that by 4. So it's got this clock divider, it's built in. I'm telling you, this East Beast, this East Beast is, it has so many features like that. So, but if I want to speed it up, okay, so that's the clock at full speed. And it's a nice percussive sound to it, right? Right, so remember, this is playing those notes with the rests, additional volume drops based on the oscillator, and you get this really cool, multi-note percussive sound. Of course, that's with the LFO turned all the way up, but then the LFO could go into audio rate, so you could speed up the LFO. And now you get this really nice resonant sound, like a resonator. Now, if I wanted to, they have this multi-out, and there's a random signal from there, and I could plug that into the cutoff But I haven't set that up, and then I'll get more variation in the filter cutoff. Actually, there's a trick I do, which is I take that multi out and I plug it into the filter cutoff on the Spice. And then I get really nice resonant filter cutoffs on the Spice by doing that. Okay, now this is a totally dry signal, right? I have no reverb or delay on here. But now let me add a delay that I created. So this is a Valhalla VST. And inside of Bespoke, I took a LFO, a built-in LFO, set it to sample and hold. And now it's like a Bernoulli gate. So now I'm like 50% of the time going to this Valhalla delay. So that's one. And then the other 50% of the time I have another Valhalla delay, which gives us this, less echoey and more like ambient, more like a reverb. And it's cool because it's going back and forth, and the echo delay is carrying over, so there's some overlap between the two, and you get this nice, I like this really ambient sound. So this was the basis for my song, right? I mean, I'll be honest, I could listen to that forever. Just... I mean, well, not really, but who needs a defab? I did have a defab, and anyway, that's another story. I liked it, but I'm not a drummer, and yeah, I didn't want my music to become all about percussion. But as a bass, right, it's really cool. All right, so then the next thing I did was I brought on my pads, because it does need some bottom end. Okay. So this is a Pigments pad, and I've programmed a lot of movement into it. Wrong one. Right, and if I turn down the movement, then I get these nice bass sounds. All right, so that's pad number one. Right, and I can adjust the intensity and the length of time. Right, that's a great pad. Then I have this other pad. And I can bring a more bottom end on this pad. And this will also move in and out. But it doesn't really make a good bass sound. This one's really a pad. So if I want a bass pad, I'll bring in this one. And I love it. It like sings. I mean, it's everything you would want in a pad, I think. Here we go. All right, let's see. Well, I think there are a couple of viewers. If anybody's viewing and you have any questions, I'm trying to watch the chat over here. Okay, so now let me bring back a little rhythm pattern. I'm going to slow that down. I'm going to drop out of audio rate. I'm going to open up the sustain and release a little bit to get a little more duration. And I want to actually drop. Okay, I just dropped the rate to 20 beats per minute. And let me get rid of the reverbs. I mean the delays. Okay. All right, and I just now set it to a quarter. So it's a really slow beat per minute here on that. Now let me open up the release. I think I need to speed that up though. And now I'm gonna, actually I want to, okay, now I'm gonna assign that to 3 octaves. Yeah. All right. This can keep going for a while. So I'm going to now play. And this will be Sunrise at the Boardwalk. And I will turn the microphone off for a bit, and I'll be back. So enjoy. And there you have it. Sunrise at the Boardwalk, which we're all about here in Santa Cruz. So, hope you enjoyed that. Hey, thanks, Christian. Appreciate the comment. Yeah, I felt that was a little slow rolling to get started with, but once I get into the groove, I have a lot of tricks. Actually, this one I didn't talk about, but I have actually 2 bass pads on here. Actually, I didn't talk about this one at all. This is a sequence I programmed into the MIDI cake. Let me just play that one. All right, so I programmed that in, and I pull it out when I feel I need some energy. And then it's actually 2 pigment pads on top of each other, and I turn them on and off with these control buttons. So when I turn it on, and then I get this second distorted. I can play that on its own. So anyway, I'll tell you, I used to have I actually still have it, a MIDI fighter twister, which is great. And it definitely has some features I love more than the MIDI mix. But the MIDI mix has more knobs, and more knobs will win out any day. With the MIDI fighter, I had to give up a knob to control volume. So you maybe be looking here at my keyboard controller and say, don't you have volume sliders there? But they're kind of brain dead. The way the Novation keyboard works, and maybe somebody knows a different solution. If you're not in Ableton, which I'm not, the slider only works on the MIDI channel it's programmed on in the software. So even though there are 8 volume sliders, when I'm on MIDI channel 3, only this slider would work to control volume. So it's really worthless. So then I had to give up a knob on the MIDI fighter, and the MIDI fighter has 16 knobs, but you quickly run out of knobs. And it does have 4 panels of 16 knobs, but I tried in a live performance switching between the panels, and there are these little buttons on the side to switch back and forth, and it really didn't work. So I like the MIDI mix. I get 9 volume sliders because there's a master, and then 3. And I've gone vertical, right? So I've said, okay, on this channel, these 3 knobs will control that channel, but you don't have to. I mean, it could be anything. And it was really easy to program. The only thing with the MIDI fighter, when the software kicks up, it actually sends a control message to the MIDI fighter, and the knobs get synchronized to where the settings are. Actually, let me reverse that. So if I turn the software on and the MIDI fighter is on, the software gets set to where the MIDI fighter is. So if I have all the knobs set, then the software automatically picks that up. Here it doesn't do that. So like if I were to start the software, it looks like this knob is turned up, but it wouldn't be. And so I have to go and kind of jiggle each slider at the beginning of a set, to get them to, sync. So not a major problem, and I still like having the extra buttons and sliders. All right, well, I think that's it for tonight. I'm going to be doing these live streams every Wednesday. I promise they will get smoother. And I look forward to having more people come and getting more questions. Let's see, I think I got let's see. Okay, let's see, Christian says. Oh, cool. Christian also has the SLMK3. Yeah, it's a great keyboard controller. Yeah, I think I've been using it for, 5 years now, 6 years. And it's really, and I've looked at, every year or two I say, okay, let me see what other controllers are out there. And it's by far my favorite. It has built-in arpeggiators with latch mode. Those are pretty cool. I don't really use the sequencer, but the arpeggiator is pretty powerful. Split keyboards, obviously. You can actually split the keyboard. I think up to 8 ways, right? There are eight different parts, and I think you could split the keyboard. You get like 3 keys. So it wouldn't be, but you could do it. I don't really use the drum pads. What else does it have? It does have a scale mode, which I do use, right? So, if you want to do fast licks in a key besides C major, it's really handy to have the scale mode. And actually, you can do these nice little runs, which I couldn't do if I had to play the black keys. I'm not that fast. Maybe I was back in the day, but yeah. I'd have to spend all my time practicing my scales again. which I don't want to do. Who else? Did anybody else do like scales or arpeggios when they were kids? All right. Well, I think I'm going to end it there. Thank you all for coming tonight. I appreciate it. Appreciate the comments. And we will see you, or I will see you next week, 8 o'clock on YouTube. Thank you, everybody. Good night.